So I've talked many times on the channel about how important it is to learn the command line. And when I talk about that, it's not because I'm a command line elitist or I think that everyone should do everything in the command line. I really don't think that at all. In fact, I think that the vast majority of people are perfectly fine doing most things in the GUI. I do think, however, that there is some surface level knowledge that you should have if you're going to use Linux, just to kind of prevent you from doing things that could harm your computer. Mainly because there's a reason why the command line is kind of feared, because there are some commands that you can run in the command line that could cause serious harm to your computer. And what I thought I'd do today is talk about a few of those commands and actually show you what they do. Now, I've already made a video about a couple of these, but this is going to be a video where I kind of put them all together. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the commands that you should seriously avoid if you use Linux. The first command that I want to talk about is not one that you're ever going to stumble into accidentally. This is going to be something that's probably passed to you through some troll on the internet who's going to say something to you like, hey, this thing does something really cool, you should try it out, or perhaps a internet forum or something like that. This command, again, does absolutely nothing other than freeze your system. So what it looks like is this. For most people, this looks like gibberish, and it looks like gibberish to me too. But basically what it does is it is going to push a whole bunch of processes from the shell into the background, so you can't actually see anything, and it's just going to increase those processes over and over again until there's absolutely none left. It's going to eat every single amount of resources on your computer. Now, right now I'm in a VM that has 4 gigabytes of memory, and it has 4 processor cores allocated to it. I'm going to go ahead and run this command, and you guys should be able to see htop go crazy. Now, I don't know how long htop will actually continue to run, because eventually the background processes run by this command will push that out of memory as well. So I'm going to go ahead and enter here, and really at the beginning it looks like it does nothing, but then it's going to do something else, and it's going to look like this now. And actually, you can see it already has pushed htop out of the way completely. Htop is no longer running, and I can't switch. I guess at that point I could switch workspaces, but you can tell it's like running really, really slow, right? And I can't spawn another. Oh, it went completely black that time. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this, and you can see with the little graph here in Vert Manager that this is using all the resources that VM has. Every single one of them, and you could literally do nothing. It completely killed X there, but it's still running in the background because the shell is still running. So if you for some reason get tricked into running this command, the easiest way to do everything is just to shut your computer off. You're not going to be able to get into a TTY or anything. Just do a hard reset, hit the power button, and turn it off. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do force off, and it's gone. So that's the first command. Okay, so the second command on this list is going to be one that it's possible for you to be doing this on your own. You're basically trying to put text in a file from the command line. And there are many ways of doing this, and the proper way of doing it looks something like this. So echo, and then hello world, if you can spell, like so. And then 2 chevrons, just like that, and then the file that you want to put that in to. So in this case, basically what this is going to do is take the words hello world and put it into one of these files. So I'm just going to put it in my pycom.conf file. And if we've them into pycom.conf, actual pycom.conf, like so, we can actually see here all the way at the bottom that there is now hello world, just like we'd expect there to be. So this is what the proper way of running this command would actually be. So let's just say you're doing something but let's just say you forget something. So we have this command here, but let's just say instead of 2 chevrons, we use just 1. So if we use just 1, so actually before we do this, I'll then back into pycom.conf, and you can see what this looks like. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here, and it's running pycom just like it's supposed to. But if we go back up here to that command, and then delete one of the chevrons, so you've just made a mistake, it's just a typo, we hit enter. Now if we vim into pycom.conf, like so, you can see it's completely empty except for the hello world that we just overwrote it with. Basically what that 1 chevron does is completely overwrites the file. So all you'd have to do in this case is make that simple mistake, 1 chevron instead of 2, and you'd find yourself in a world of hurt because your configuration file is now completely gone. And that would just make you very, very sad, right? Because it could possibly be a file that you can't get back if you don't have a proper backup, or if it's a really important file that your whole system relies on. If you overwrite it, it's gone, unless you have a backup of it. And it's possible that you overwrite a file that is so important that your computer just shuts down. So that is the second command. Now, the third command is going to be one that is almost exactly the same. So we're going to actually do that again. The only difference here is this is going to be a command that you're probably never going to even attempt to do on purpose. This is going to be something that, again, is passed to you probably for malicious purposes. And this is going to be basically formatting your entire hard drive or overwriting your entire partition. And you do this, and again, you shouldn't do this. So if anybody ever passes you a command that looks like this, /dev, and in my case it's going to be /VDA, like so, but for most people it's going to be /SDA. Now basically what that is, if you've never seen anything like that before, is that's the location of your hard drive's partition. And if I go back to my my actual computer here and open up a terminal and do lsblk, like so, you can see all of the partitions I have on this computer. So one of them is SDA, SDB, SDC, and so on and so forth. Each one of these is a drive. Each one of these is a partition on the drive. So those are very important things. So for example, in my case, SDA is going to be all of my videos and stuff that I've done for the channel in the last few months. All that stuff is there. If I were to overwrite it, all that stuff would be gone. So let me show you what this actually looks like. Let's go back into my virtual machine here. And in this case, the only drive I have in this virtual machine is /dev/VDA. If I now hit enter on this, let's see what it does. Oh, we're going to have to do sudo. That's one good thing, is that if you do this, if somebody passes this to you and doesn't give you the sudo command, it won't run. So once you run that command, you'll see that nothing actually happens. I ended up having to enter the actual root user in order to get it to run in the first place, but actually the whole system continued to run. I didn't notice anything was wrong until I tried to reboot the system, and in this case, I get nothing. That's because there's nothing actually there. So your system will probably continue to run perfectly normally, or at least somewhat normally, while you're still in that session. Everything is still in memory. I would assume that there are some things that just won't load because it's no longer there if it wasn't in memory already. But you won't notice anything seriously wrong until you go to reboot your computer, and in which case you'll see something like this where it just won't boot. So that's the end of my Archcraft install. It's completely gone. Okay, so the next one on the list is going to be one that is something that you may be doing on purpose. This might be something that you're actually trying to do, but not with the drive you're trying to do it with. So let's just say you're trying to overwrite a hard drive that you're going to donate to somewhere, or you're throwing away or something like that. A lot of people will recommend writing that hard drive with garbage data, and there are many ways of doing this, but one of the ways is with dd. Now, dd is probably the most horrendous command that you're ever going to see on your computer, because it's the most horrifying one, because you can literally write anything with dd. It's called Disk Destroyer, and it will destroy your disk. It's used to write ISOs and things like that, so it has good purposes, obviously, but it's very possible for you to use it in a bad way, or a way that you're not aware of, that could cause you some issues, and this is one of those ways. So in this case, I'm going to do if, which stands for input file, and /dev/random. And then I'm going to do output file, and this is going to be where we make our mistakes. So chances are you're, again, only going to ever do this if you're specifically trying to write a hard drive with a whole bunch of gibberish. And you're never going to want to do this on the hard drive that you're actually running your system off from. This is probably going to be one that's connected to your computer and you're going to be getting rid of or whatever. But in this case, we're going to make that mistake. So we're going to do dev/VDA. And if I hit enter on this, again, I'm in the root account, so it should work. We're going to hit enter, and then it's going to do some stuff. And I'm not sure how long this will actually run, or what will happen at the end of it. It may continue to run for a while, and then everything appears to be fine, just like it did with the last one, and then we won't know anything until it comes back. But we'll see. So as you can see, I kind of redid it and added status equal progress, so we can actually see that it's doing something. And it's doing stuff, and it's not doing anything good. So I'm going to let this run, and we'll see what the outcome of it is at the end. This will keep running. Obviously, I should cut in here. It will keep running until it fills up the entire drive, in which case I'm pretty sure that this is a 20 gigabyte drive, so it's going to take a little bit. Okay, that is as done as it's going to get. I'm going to reboot this now and see what it does, because it should theoretically not boot into anything. So we're going to hit start here again, and yeah, as you can see, there's no bootable device there. The entire partition is just gone. So again, that particular command is something that you may want to do if you're trying to overwrite a hard drive, but in this case, you overwrote the wrong hard drive and you're screwed. You'd end up having to reinstall Linux and get all of your stuff back, hopefully via backup. So, moral of the story here, always have a backup. Okay, so we're going to move on to the last one. And this last one is the most famous command that you should never run. It's definitely one that floats around on the internet saying, hey, this is cool, do this, but you should never, ever, ever do this thing. And I'm going to show you why. So, the command is sudo rm-rf. So basically what this is doing is removing a directory recursively and forcibly doing it. It's not going to give it any chance. And then we're going to do root and then star. So this is going to be everything inside the root directory. We're going to see what this does. We're going to do this. It's going to ask us for a password, and then things are going to go crazy. At least theoretically, things are going to go crazy. We may end up having to, oh, no, there we go. And goodbye. Everything is gone. Everything is gone. It's just, I mean, you do that, you're just going to be a sad, sad, sad little person. Your stuff is never coming back. If you don't have a backup, you're screwed. Your Linux system is kaput. There's no getting it back. There's no recovering from running that command at all. And there's, again, no reason why you should run that command on your own. The only reason why you would is if you're, like me, you're doing it for a video, or someone has passed this to you and you don't know any better. So if we were to actually now force this off and then open it up again, we're going to see the exact same thing we were at before, only it's going to get into grub rescue mode, and that's because there's absolutely nothing there other than grub. So yeah, that is what that command does. It's, again, the most famous of all horrible commands. They're all of these were really bad for the most part. Some of them were because of typos. Some of them were because of typing in the wrong drive. But this one here is the worst of the worst. It has no good reason to be run. So that is it for this video. If you have comments on these, there were several more that I could have added onto this. So maybe I'll do a follow-up video if you're interested in that or something like that. Leave those in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. You can follow me on Twitter @TheLinuxCast. You can follow me on Mastodon or Odyssey. Those links will be in the video description. You can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/TheLinuxCast, just like all of these fine people. Thanks to everybody who does support me on Patreon and YouTube. You guys are all absolutely amazing people. I'm so grateful for your support. Without you, the channel just would not be anywhere close to where it is right now. So thank you so very much for that. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.